Nigeria's film industry, popularly known as Nollywood, has experienced significant growth over the years, with box office revenue projected to reach new heights in 2024 as the industry continues to evolve, presents lucrative investment opportunities for both local and international investors. Let's talk now to Mr. Okweaja. He's the CEO of Cinemax, President, Cinema Exhibitors Association of Nigeria. Joining me right here in the studio. It's great to have you. Thank you. Good to be here. Yeah. So I've not been to the cinema in a while. That's not a good thing. But I know. It's not good. I've been really, really busy, not really had time. But I can imagine, you know, the price of everything has gone up at this point. Inflation, currency devaluation. Even though we're seeing some strengthening with the Naira at this point. Yeah. Are tickets still affordable? Well, affordable is relative. Like right, exactly. Like everything is. Or what changes have we seen with ticket prices? Well, average ticket prices are about 4,000 naira now. Average ticket prices, obviously, is lower in some parts of the country, is higher in some parts of the country, but about 4,000 naira average ticket prices. When you consider that every other thing has skyrocketed over the last 2 to 3 years, that's still within reasonable numbers, in our view, anyway. And I hope popcorn is still cheap. Again, cheap is relative. Oh. Because we like the cinema popcorn at this time. But, you know, looking at some of the data here, we see some of the movies right there. Deadpool there, grossing about 706 million. Yeah. That's the top 5 highest grossing titles for Hollywood movies. Gladiator 2, 300 million. 184 million for Dune. So looking at these revenue for these movies at this time, what is this telling us about the average cinema goer? Yeah, I mean, in 2024. So just to also mention, Gladiator is still in cinema, so that's not the final figure. But generally, I think this year has seen a surge, you know, both from Hollywood and Nollywood. Numbers have, I mean, post-COVID, things have taken a bit of a dip. And even though we've grown generally from revenue, box office, admissions have been a bit either flat or low. But this year we've seen growth in admissions as well as box office revenue. So, I mean, Hollywood is just half of the story. Nollywood has also done, you know, very well this year. So, I mean, I think that we've hit rock bottom, and then we're going up from here. Right. So I guess it's a bounce from hitting the. Yeah. But you know, look, these are Hollywood titles at this point. Is this importing? Is this what? Is it important? Importing. Are we importing with this? Well, Hollywood has always traditionally been the mainstay. Right. I think the story is that Nollywood has also come very strong this year. I don't know if you have the numbers here, but let's put up Nollywood. You know, so well, this is part of the story. Right. Yeah, very important. Queen Latifah, Ajosepo. So you have 5 films here, and in total this year, every month there's been a Nollywood film that's grossed over 100 million. 100 million used to be a major achievement in the past, but now almost, I mean, a lot of films are grossing over 100 million, so that's significant. And the biggest story is that in terms of box office, the box office this year is pretty much split between Hollywood and Nollywood, almost 50-50. So that's significant growth from the Nollywood end of things, and that's part of what's driving growth beyond the resurgence from Hollywood as well. Right, because there was a time it was mostly Hollywood. There was a time it was almost 90% Hollywood and 10% Nollywood. That's not the case anymore. So, and I mean, that's a testament to the production values, to the, you know, different genres that Nollywood is now bringing to the table. All right. So, looking at most of these, this revenue now up to about 200 million, 200 million, 166 million. I'm wondering, what do you think goes into? Just give me an idea. What goes into like producing a movie like this now? That's it. It really depends. You can produce for as low as. I'm trying to gauge what the profit would be like. Well, so again, this is gross, right? Yes. And this is shared between the producer and the distributor and the exhibitor. So it's difficult to determine the profit on the films just on one window. And then cinema is one window. So there's streaming, there are airlines, and typically films go on an entire journey. So the profit is not really from one. This cinema window is just the first window, and it's one of many windows. Talk to me about the value chain now in 2024. How lucrative has it been for most of the players? I mean, it's been a mixed bag. It's been a mixed bag. Obviously, like every other industry, the industry has been affected. Some players have shown very strong, some haven't done as well.
Generally speaking, the movie business is it's a great business, and over the lifespan of the film, then it is a profitable business, particularly when you get everything right: production value, storytelling, the right fans and the right actors and all of that. When it comes together, it is potentially very, very profitable.
All right, let's look at Christmas now.
Yeah.
I can imagine how it played out for 2023.
Yeah.
The cinemas, and now we're in 2024, another Christmas at this time, and I'm sure we're expecting, moviegoers to come out this December. Is it going to be strong? What are you seeing?
I think we're going to see again, by far, the strongest December we've seen in a very long time. Last year was very strong. It was 1.6 billion, December last year. We're projecting this year to be anywhere between 3 and 4 billion in box office. And bear in mind, again, box office is only a part of the cinema business. There's the concession, the advertising, and so on and so forth. But we're talking purely box office. We think is easily minimum 3 billion box office figures this year, driven by very strong content, from both Nollywood and Hollywood.
Right. So, talking about strong content at this point, I guess people, regardless, would come out to watch something as long as it's good.
Yeah.
Regardless of, because we've been talking about the cost of living crisis so far. So I guess the content being strong is a major...
It's a major draw. And in context, again, an entire experience, movie, popcorn, drink, maybe 10,000 naira per head. It is expensive, but it's not expensive in the context of things. I mean, it's one of the cheapest forms of entertainment, generally speaking. So going to the cinema, 2 hours, average of 10,000 per person for the whole experience. Again, it's not something that people... December is a period where, these are not the every month moviegoers. It's a period where people come out for entertainment. It's not provocative. I mean, I do understand that there's a large market that probably cannot afford that, but there's also a good market that can afford 10,000 naira for entertainment, 10, 12,000 for entertainment. But of course it helps that we have very strong content. The usual suspects, Funke Akindele, Messi Aigbe, Tony Abraham. This year, AY joins the mix. And then you've got Lion King, you've got Moana already doing very well from Hollywood. So we've got a really strong December, lineup. And I mean, I anticipate that all cinemas are going to be full this December.
Right, and I'm sure, we have investors, sitting on piles of cash at this point. I'm wondering, how can I benefit from this industry? What are the investment trends here? Well,
I think that in terms of the industry, I think we're maybe only at 10% of the capacity of the industry. So box office this year projected to be 12 billion. So compared to what's going on in other, maybe similar countries, say India, our entire 12 billion is what, about $7 million? In India, there are films that do over $10 million, one film. But obviously, there's a capacity issue. In Nigeria, we have about 300 screens. India has about 9,000 screens. So I think that there's still an opportunity to grow, to expand to that level in terms of the country, because we have the population and, the people, the demography, and the content as well, because also what's driving admissions is also the content, So I think we're sitting on a gold mine, and, the macroeconomic environment has been a bit tough, but with a bit of stability, I think that we're at the beginning of a massive growth in the industry.
On average, how much does it cost to build a cinema?
Again, it depends.
And running the business.
It depends. It depends. So there are many factors.
Right.
What kind of seats are you buying? Are your projectors going to be able to play Hollywood or Nollywood or all of that? I mean, I'll say that on the average, it can cost anywhere between $50,000 to $150,000 per screen. Per screen, not the entire cinema. Right. It really depends on what you're trying to do. There are other models that can be lower than that, and I'm saying per screen, assuming, say, 150 seats and a screen projection and all of that. So it really depends on how well you want to build it. It depends on who your target market is. If you're building in a high-class area, obviously it's going to be a bit different. If you're building, for price-sensitive area, let me call it a low-class price-sensitive area, obviously there's also those factors that determine what makes it expensive or what makes it cheaper. That also determines sometimes what the ticket prices will be. So there are places in the country where ticket prices are high as 7,000, 8,000 naira, but there are also places where they sell tickets at 2,000 naira, 2,005. So these are all factors.
And I remember there was a time students had some kind of lower price. I don't know if that's still playing out.
Every now and then, cinemas do that.
Right.
But I mean, It's not as popular as it used to be before, but yeah, there are deals for students, there are deals for NYSC,
right?
You know, so yeah.
I remember I was no longer a student at some point, but I tried to pretend. Yeah, I tried to pretend.
That's why cinema stopped it, because of people like you.
Thank God I stopped that at some point. But what do you see for more screens now? You know, going into.
I think there's an opportunity to invest in infrastructure. I think that we need a lot more cinemas, and I think that that's a catalyst for the growth of the entire industry. I mean, again, in terms of government involvement, I think access to low debt funding will be a critical factor in growing this industry. But I think that we have a gold mine. I think that also the impact of the industry is beyond the numbers, is also the number of kind of employment that it creates, and its multiplier effect is amazing. You know?
Right. So, yeah. All right, looking at the number of screens on the island versus the mainland, how's it looking?
It's about
the same. Par?
No, yeah, it's about par. Well, it's probably more on the mainland, but it's not significantly, you know. I mean, again, it depends on what island is.
But it seems like the island have more screens.
Yes, it depends on, if you're talking about island all the way to Chevron, all the way to, it depends on what you mean by the island.
The island. All of it.
I think there's a good spread in Lagos, generally speaking.
Okay.
You know, I won't say it's skewed towards any particular area. There's a good spread in Lagos.
Good spread.
Yeah, and in the major cities, very good spread. You know, generally across the country.
We'll keep tracking, see, and definitely I know you give us more data on more box office revenue once they come out.
No worries.
Definitely. I hope I can catch a movie today at some point.
You should.
Hopefully. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okpe Ajayi, CEO, Cinemax, and President, Cinema Exhibitors Association of Nigeria. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much.
All right, so there you have it. I hope you're going to maybe try and see a movie too. At some point, try and unwind. This is a TGIF. But let's get a check on what played out for the market.